Okay, next we will discuss how to adjust for the intergroup sales when the received company has sold a part of the inventory to the outside customer. Now think about the example that we have been working. The subsidiary company, okay, subsidiary company had purchased stocks on 1st June 2016 for 100 from the external supplier. Okay, so that is the purchase to the subsidiary company. And on 25th June 2016, this stock has been sold by the subsidiary company to the parent company for 150, keeping 50 a profit, right? Now, what happens if the parent company sells 40% of this inventory for 100 rupees on 30th June 2016? Okay, now you can see it is partly sold, 40% is sold, partly sold, right? We will discuss this, and I think that you can remember the answer of the previous example where the parent company has not sold any of the inventory received from the other company to external customers. ඉස්සල් අභ්‍යාසයේ එක්සාම්පල් එකේදී අපිට දැක ගන්න පුළුවන් උනේ ඉන්ටර්කම්පැනි සේල්ස් වලින් හම්බිච්ච ඒ ඉන්වෙන්ටරි කිසිවක් එක්ස්ටර්නල් කස්ටමර් කෙනෙකුට විකුණලා තිබුණේ නැහැ. ඒ නිසා අපි ඔක්කොම unrealized profit එක අයින් කළා. But here the case is different. Okay, the parent company has sold 40%, right, of the inventory received from the subsidiary company. Okay, now let's calculate the unrealized profit. Okay, unrealized profit. Now the total profit of this intra-group transaction or intercompany transaction is 50. How? That is 150 sales value, the actual cost to the subsidiary company 100, therefore 50. Okay, but out of this 50, now 40% has been sold to an external customer, right? It's unrealized profit එක වෙන්නේ not the entire 50, right? That multiplied by, now 40% has been sold, therefore remaining 60%. Okay, remaining 60%, which is equal to 30, is the unrealized profit. Okay, is the unrealized profit, right? So let's see how to adjust for this unrealized profit and intercompany sales in the consolidated financial statements in 2016. Okay, let me write it here. Consolidation adjustment in 2016, meaning 30th June of 2016. Okay, now it is clear that our inventory includes 30 unrealized profit. හරි, ඔක්කොම unrealized profit එක 50 තිබුණට ඒකෙන් 40% විකුණලා තිබුණ external customers ලට, එතකොට ඒ ප්‍රමාණය realize වෙලා 60% to be realized. So it is unrealized. Okay, so because of this, the inventory of the parent company has overstated. To remove that, I can credit inventory credit by 30. Okay, on the other hand, the subsidiary company, okay, has recognized a sale of 150 when it sells to the parent company. It has recognized 150 sales. එතකොට sales 150 recognize කරලා තිබුණා subsidiary company එක මේ තියෙන්නේ parent company එකට විකුණද්දි. ඒක actual sale එකක් නෙමෙයි. ඒ කියන්නේ internal transfer එකක්. S එක අයින් කරන්න ඕනේ. Therefore sales account debit 150. Okay, you can transfer or you can adjust the rest of the double entry or the balancing figure of the double entry to the cost of goods sold, but I will tell you the logic. Okay, cost of goods sold, it should be credited the remaining 120, right? How that figure is taken? Now 120 is now you saw that subsidiary company had recorded 100 cost of sales. I think that you can remember the original example and the entries that have been maintained or recorded by individual entities. මතකදී subsidiary company එක විකුණද්දී cost of sales 100 එයාගේ cost එක recognize කරලා තිබුණා. ඒතර ඒක අයින් කරන්න ඕනේ. Therefore cost of goods sold credit 100. හරි? ඒ වගේම දැන් parent company එකට right? Sorry. Parent company එකට cost of goods sold වෙන්නේ okay? Let me write it here. The parent company's cost of sales is their cost is 150 in its individual financial statement. Out of that 40% is sold, right? Parent company එකට ඒකේ cost එක වෙන්නේ subsidiary company එකකින් purchase කරද්දී 150, that into 40%, so it is 60 no. Now this is in the individual financial statement of parent, but when it comes to the consolidation, okay, consolidation, when we take that transaction from the group's point of view, group එක පැත්තෙන් හිතනකොට the total cost of this inventory is 100, okay, but out of that 40% has now sold. Therefore from the group's point of view, okay, the cost of sales should be 40, right? I think that is clear. The parent මේක purchase කරනකොට subsidiary company එකකින් cost එක උනේ 150. එතකොට එයා cost of sales කියලා record කරන්නේ විකුණනකොට 40%, 150 purchase cost into 40%, 60. But when we take the group's point of view, okay, for the group's point of view, the cost of this transaction is 100, okay, 100. Out of that 40% has been sold to the external customer. Therefore the cost of sales for the group's point of view should be 40. Therefore it is clear the cost of sales of P company, the purchasing company or the parent company in this example, is overstated by 20, right? ඒ කියන්නේ cost of sales වැඩිපුර debit වෙලා තියෙනවා, overstate වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒක correct කරන්න හරි parent company එකේ overstated figure එක we take here. So all together we credit 120 to the cost of goods sold, right? එතකොට sales කරපු company එකේ cost of sales 100 තිබුණා, we removed it, cost of sales credit 100, right? 100. Now the purchased company, the company who purchased the inventory, had sold 40% of the stock purchased to external customers. When they sell goods to the external customers, they had recognized the cost of sales 60. How? 150 their purchase cost from the subsidiary company, that into 40%. So they had recognized 60 cost of sales, right? But from the group's point of view, it should be 40, because the cost of the group is group is 100, that into 40%, 40. Therefore the P company's cost of sales is overstated by 20. Okay, overstated by 20. To remove that, we can credit another 20 to the cost of sales. Altogether 100 plus 220, 100 plus 20, 120 should be credited to the cost of goods sold. Okay, right. Now the deferred tax adjustment. Now when the parent company or let's take like this, with the subsidiary company sells goods to the parent company keeping a 50 profit, right? We saw that it has recognized income tax expense of 15. Subsidiary company එක parent company එකට විකුණද්දී 50 profit එකක් එයා recognize කරලා තිබුණා. ඒ 50 profit එක මත ඔයාලට මතක ඇති මෙන්න මේ double entry එක එයාලා record කරලා තිබුණේ. If I write it here, income tax expense account debit 50 into 30% tax rate, no? That is 15 current tax payable account credit 15. I think that you can remember this entry, right, which was recorded in the subsidiaries individual financial statements. Okay, now when it comes to the consolidation or the group point of view, only 40% has been sold. 40% විකුණලා තියෙන්නේ to the external customers. එතන මේ income tax expense එකේ තියෙන්න ඕනේ 40% ගාන විතරයි. නේ? මොකද group එකේ point of view එකෙන් ගත්තාම 100% විකුණලා නැහැ. 40% විතරයි විකුණලා තියෙන්නේ. එහෙනම් මේ income tax expense එකේ දැනටමත් සම්පූර්ණ ගාන, ඒ කියන්නේ 50න් 100%ම කියන එක තියෙනවා. හරි? හැබැයි එකෙන් තියෙන්න ඕනේ 40%, 60% අයින් වෙන්න ඕනේ. නේද? 60% විකුණලා නැහැ. 40% විකුණලා ඒ ප්‍රමාණය මේ income tax expense account එකේ තියෙන්න ඕනේ. But 60% which is relevant to the unsold stock should be removed from income tax expense to the deferred tax asset. Right? So what happens? Let me take this color. Income tax expense account. Income tax expense should be credited by, now total unrealized profit is 50. Okay, or else we can take the relevant unrealized profit amount, that is 30. We calculated that figure. අපි ඒ figure එක calculate කරා 30 විකුණපු නැති ප්‍රමාණය. එහෙම නැත්නම් 50% into 60%. Sorry, 50 into 60% you can take. Okay, as we have calculated earlier the figure unrealized profit 30, right? We can take that figure straight away here. That into tax rate is 30%. 30 into 30%, 9. 9 should be removed from income tax expense, and it goes to the deferred tax asset Y. Deferred tax asset Y. Let me write it here. Credit 9 Y. The reason is, now see, inventory is credited by 30. When the inventory account is credited by 30, right? Credited by 30, the carrying amount is decreased. When the carrying amount is decreased, right, the tax base is remained at the same level. Therefore, the carrying amount of the asset is decreased. Okay, so it creates a deferred tax asset. Asset එකක carrying amount එක අඩු වුණොත් inventory account එක credit කළේ එනිසා asset එකේ carrying amount එක අඩු වුණා deferred tax asset එකක් create වුණා 9. හරි. දැන් ඔයාලා බලන්නකො මේ income tax expense එකේ 15 තිබුණට ඒකෙන් 9 අඩු කළා. නේද? මේ 15 තිබුණට 15 minus 9. Then what is left is 6. What is 6? 6 කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? The income tax relevant to the inventories sold to the external customers. External customers ලට විකුණු ප්‍රමාණයට අදාළ income tax එක තමයි මේ තියෙන්නේ. බලමු ඕන්න. එතකොට 50 total profit එකක් තිබුණා. ඒකෙන් 40% විකුණලා තිබුණා. ඒ කියන්නේ නේද? 50 total profit එකක් තිබුණා. Out of that 40% had been sold, that into 30%. If you take the figure 50 into 40% into 30%, it is 6. Yeah, we get the figure, right? So this is the entry in consolidated financial statements in 2016. And please remember, when we sell this inventory, right, deferred tax asset account credit 9, income tax expense debit by 9 when the sale of the remaining stock has been made. හරි. මේ ඉතිරි stock එක 60% විකුණනකොට deferred tax asset එකකින් අඩු වෙලා ඒ කියන්නේ deferred tax asset එක credit, income tax expense එක debit වෙනවා. එහෙනම් අපිට පැහැදිලි group point of view එකකින් income tax expense එකට එන්නේ විකුණුවාට පස්සේ group එකේ point of view එකකින්. Okay, so this is the entry. Hope you understood this and you will get more knowledge when tutorial classes are conducted. Okay, now so far we discussed the consolidation adjustment for intra-group sales, right? In the next year, that is 2016. Okay, I mean in the same year. Now look at this example. Inventory was purchased on 1st June 2016. Okay, sold to the parent company on 25th June 2016, right, and sell 40% of the stocks on 30th June 2016 to external customers. එතකොට මේ තුනම සිදු වෙලා තියෙන එකම අවුරුද්දේ. All these transactions have been occurred in the same year. Okay, in the earlier question also we saw that the purchase, sale or the intercompany sales and the external sales all have been occurred in the same year. Okay, now let's get into a bit of a difficult or complex scenario. මම හිතන්නේ මේක පැහැදිලි. මෙතන purchase එක උනේ, intercompany sale එකයි, external sale එකයි තුනම උනේ එකම අවුරුද්දේ. හරි, අපි ඉස්සෙල්ලම කතා කරා total unsold scenario එකක්. ඒ කියන්නේ external sales 0 කියන scenario එක. ඊට පස්සේ කතා කරා external sales කරොත් සම්පූර්ණයෙන් මොකද වෙන්නේ? Thirdly අපි කතා කරා ඔක්කොම නැතුව part එකක්. එහෙම නැත්නම් කොටසක් විතරක් external sales වුණොත් මොකද කරන්නේ? But all these transactions were taken place in the same year, 2016. Okay, so let's see all these explanations are there in the slide. You can leisurely read. Okay, Let's see, uh, when these transactions happened in different years. Okay, different years. Right? Different years. We all know that when the intercompany sales are sold to external customers, then only the profit is realized. හරි profit එක realize වෙන්නේ intercompany sales වලින් හම්බෙච්ච stock එක external customers ලට වික්කට පස්සේ විතරයි. We know that situation. Okay. So we'll go to the question straight away. Now, be clear about the scenario. Earlier, the purchase, intercompany sales, external sales, all three were happened in the same year. But now, right, we come to a different scenario where it is where these three transactions, purchase, intercompany sales, and external sales, could be happened in different years. Look at this example. Now this is our original example. Right? Original example. එක හොඳට මත් බලා ගන්න. External purchase එක වුණේ on 1st June 2016. Right? Intercompany sale එක වුණේ on 25th June 2016. Same year. Right? The first situation we discussed, all inventories still held by the parent at 30th June 2016. Then we discussed 100% sales on 30th July 2016. Of course, we did today 40 sales 40%. Right? On 30th July 2016. So these are the three situations that we have done so far. Number 1, number 2, and number 3. Okay, number 3. Now let's get into a bit of a difficult or complex situation. You can write these notes. Okay. Now remember this original example. Now this is the worksheet entries recorded on 30th June 2016, which is applicable to the first situation. Let me write it again. If you can remember, we removed sales 150. Let me zoom out a little bit. Right? We removed sales 150, sales account debit 150. Right? Cost of goods sold 100 remove කරා. ඒ තමයි subsidiary company එක විකුණද්දී හඳුනාගෙන තිබුණ cost of goods sold එක. ඊට පස්සේ inventory එක overstate වෙලා තිබුණ 50 වලින් ඒ නිසා inventory එක credit කළා 50. Right? එතකොට මේක group එක පැත්තෙන් ගත්තී sale එකක් නොවන නිසා income tax expense එක අයින් කළා. That is 50 unrealized profit into 30%. 15 income tax expense account credit, deferred tax asset account debit. Okay. Now first situation is number 4. inventory is unsold, by 30th June 2017, next year. That is very important. Now remember, let me take it here. Inventory purchase kale 2016, right? Inventory purchase kale 2016. Intercompany sales une 2016, right? But we prepare consolidated financial statements for year 2017, right? Within bracket you can write, when consolidated financial statements are prepared in 2017. Okay, 2017. Now earlier, the same year, all transactions happened in the same year, right? Now when we come to the 2017 year, right, we have passed the sales year. එතකොට සේල් එක උනේ 2016, ඒ year එක pass කරලා අපි ඊළඟ year එකට ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ 2017. Therefore, when we come to the 2017, we do not see sales account in the ledger. We do not see cost of goods sold account in the ledger. We do not see the income tax expense account in the ledger, because all income and expenses accounts are closed at the end of the period and transferred to where? The retained earnings. Therefore, when we come to the next year, right, the year after the intercompany sales was occurred, right, we do not see the sales account, cost of goods sold account, and income tax expense account, all income and expenses account in the ledger. They are taken to where? මෙන්න මේ තුන ගිහින් තියෙන කොහෙටද? retained earnings වලට. දැන් තියෙන කොහෙද? retained earnings වල. ඒ නිසා අපිට sales අයින් කරන්න බෑ, cost of goods sold අයින් කරන්න බෑ, income tax expense අයින් කරන්න බෑ. So what we can do, we can remove that balance, net balance, right? Net balance from the retained earnings. But still, the inventory is unsold by 30th June 2017. Therefore, inventory is an asset. It has the balance. But then asset account close karanna hai, it will be carried forward to the next year, right? So here we have that balance. Therefore, the entry should be totally unsold, right? Entry should be inventory account credit 50, because it is still there in the parent company or the purchaser by 30th June 2017. Okay, 30th June 2017. Then the deferred tax asset will be same. මේ පැත්තෙන් හිතන්න පුළුවන් inventory credit වුණා කියලා කියන්නේ inventory කියන්නේ asset එකක්, asset credited, therefore carrying amount decreases. If the carrying amount decreases in an asset, it creates a deferred tax asset. Deferred tax asset, debit, let me take it here, debit 50. එතකොට බලන්න මෙන්න මේ මම මේ කලර් කරන මෙන්න මේ entry එක එහෙමම ආවා. ඊළඟට deferred tax asset account එකත් එහෙමම ආවා. නේ? මේ තියෙන worksheet entry එක individual entry එක නෙමෙයි, worksheet entry එක අපි දාපු. ඒතර මෙහෙම හිතන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. මේක අපි ලියලා හිතනව නෙමෙයි. මම මේ comparison එකට පෙන්නුවේ. නමුත් ඔයාලා හිතන්න ඕනේ inventory unsold. Therefore, inventory has unrealized profit of 50 total. So it should be removed because inventory is overstated. Inventory account credited by 50. if the carrying amount is decrease of an asset, it creates a deferred tax asset. Therefore debit 15. 15 කියන එක ආවේ කොහමද? 50 unrealized profit into 30%. Isn't it? Right. Then remaining entry එකත් හිතා ගන්න පුළුවන්. මම මේක දාන්නම් balance sheet එක. ඒ කියන්නේ retain earnings වලට. Retain earnings debit 35. හරි. මේ retain earnings එන්නේ දැන් last year එකේ 2016 වල මේ බලන්නකො sale එකක් recognize කරා. හරි. ඒතර sale එක අයින් කරන නිසා retain earnings අඩු වෙනවා. income එකක් අඩු වෙනවනේ. ඔන්න 150 අඩු කරමු. cost of goods sold කියන්නේ expense account එකක්. expense එකක් credit වෙනවා කියන expense එක අඩු වෙනවා. Therefore it will increase the retain earnings plus 100. And income tax expense credited, again expense credited, therefore it will increase the retained earnings 15. If you take the net impact to the retained earnings, it is minus 35, right? Retained earnings minus 35 means retained earnings debited by 35. The May worksheet entry එක අපි 2016 වල දාපු එක 2016 වල අපි ඉස්සල්ලා scenario number 1 වලින් කතා කරපු එක. දැන් එහෙම ඒ entry එක හිතන්න නැතුව කෙලින්ම හිතුවොත් එහෙම when you think directly, right? How now inventory has been overstated by 50, therefore we removed or we credited 50 to the inventory account, and because of that it created a deferred tax asset 15, right? Now inventory has been overstated by 50, therefore the profit has been overstated by 50, but when we take the net of tax, again 50 වලින් retain earnings උත් overstate වෙලා තියෙනවා. මොකද inventory overstate වුණා කියන්නේ previous year එකේ the cost of sales has been underestimated in that year 2016. If the cost of sales is understated in 2016 by 15, okay, the profit will be overstated by 50. But as we recognize the income tax, the net of income tax, that is 70%. Income tax percentage 30%. Yeah, therefore to take the net of tax effect, 50 into 70%, 35. එහෙනම් retain earnings වලින් retain earnings overstate වෙලා තියෙන්නේ last year එකේ 35 වලින්. To remove that, retain earnings is debited 35. Right? If I tell it again, last year inventory had been overstated by 50. Okay, because of that cost of sales was understated by 50. But when it comes to the profit, if we take the after tax effect, the profit was or had been overstated by 35. How 35? 50 into net of tax. The tax rate is 30%, therefore net of tax rate is 70%. 50 into 70, 35. Last year the profit has been overstated. Very easy. To correct that, when it comes to the current year 2017, right, we should remove that overstated profit of last year from the retained earnings, because we don't see the last year profit now. It is added to the retained earnings. Therefore retained earnings debit 35 to eliminate the overstated profit of last year. Okay, so this is the entry. Right, now I have discussed situations number 1, situation number 2, situation number 3, and bit of a complex one, situation number 4. Okay, Right, this is the answer. I think it is clear. The answers are there, but I worked out the question. Okay, we'll come to the last scenario. I will keep the same screen. Number 5, inventory is fully sold by, let's say, in 2017. නැවත හිතාගන්න purchase උනේ 2016, intercompany sale එක උනේ 2016, but sales to the external customers happens in 2017. Okay, where when consolidated financial statements are prepared in 2017, 1 year later from the purchase and the intercompany sales. ඇත්තටම මේ purchase එක කවද වෙලා තිබුණත් කමක් නැහැ. intercompany sale එක වෙච්ච දවස් තමයි අපි බලන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට intercompany sales උනේ, if I show the diagram again, intercompany sales was done on 25th of June 2016, I mean 2016, but inventory is sold in 2016. Now what is the difference between scenario number 5 and 2? Scenario number 5 and 2, the difference is scenario number 2, this one, the inventory was sold to external customers in the same year 2016. See, intercompany sale එක විච අවුරුද්දෙමයි විකුණන්නේ, right? මෙතන partly sale එකක් වුණේ ඒ අවුරුද්දෙමයි, right? But when it comes to the scenario number 5 or the last scenario, right, the inventory is sold in 2017, next year, right? Next year. Now it is very simple. Let me take this color. Now, because of the intercompany sales, last year profit has been overstated by 35. The same logic, right? Last year profit has been overstated by 35. Therefore, last year profit is in the retained earnings now. Last year profit එක දැන් තියෙන retained earnings ඇතුලේ. හරි? එහෙනම් retained earnings overstate වෙලා තියෙන්නේ 35 වලින්. To eliminate that, to remove that, retained earnings debit 35. How 35? The same logic which I explained earlier, this one. Okay, total unrealized profit in that year 50, right? That into net of tax 70%, it's 35. එතකොට last year profit එක overstate වෙලා තිබුණේ net of tax ගත්තාම 35 වලින්. ඒ ගාන retained earnings වල දැන් තියෙන එක අයින් කරන්න ඕන, retained earnings debit. But inventory is fully sold in 2017. Now we can't see, right? Now we can't see the inventory account. මෙන්න මේ account එක දැන් අපිට දැක ගන්න බෑ. මොකද අපි ගාව inventory account එකක් නැහැ, because it is fully sold. Right? Now fully sold නම් ඒකේ cost එක, ඒ කියන්නේ parent company එක purchase කරපු company එක හිතපු විදිහට එයාගේ purchase cost එක දැන් තියෙන්නේ cost of goods sold වල. නේ? එතකොට cost of goods sold account එක overstate වෙලා ඇති. මොකද last year ending stock එක overstate වුණා කියන්නේ this year opening stock එක overstate වුණා කියන එක. last year closing stock එක overstate වුණා කියන්නේ current year 2017 opening stock will be overstated by 50, right? You know, opening stock is a part of the cost of sales. Therefore, cost of sales has been overstated by 50. To remove that, cost of goods sold account credit by 50. Okay. Now it is realized because it is sold to an external customer, right? When the profit is realized, then only you have to recognize the income tax expense, right? Again and again I am telling you, this is the consolidation adjustment, right? Not the individual company's point of view. In that case, individually companies need to pay taxes when the sale happen, right? But when it comes to the consolidation, right, income tax expense is recognized when the external sales happen, right? So the transaction has been realized. Okay, cost of goods sold account එක credit වුණා කියන්නේ cost of goods sold account credit, therefore it is a reduction of expense. The profit will go up. Based on that, you have to pay taxes. Now the transaction has been realized, therefore it is not deferred tax asset. What is it? It is not deferred tax asset. I told you, once the transaction is realized, it should be recorded to the not deferred tax asset, but income tax expense. Income tax expense account debit 50. Okay, if I take the way it is calculated, 50, cost of sales credit means expense decreased, therefore profit increased. Based on the increased profit, you have to pay 30% tax, that is 50. So this is the scenario number 5, right? So with respect to the inventory, we discussed 5 scenarios: number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5. So you have to remember all these scenarios very carefully, right? Because this will be complex, right? I know that will be more complex if you don't read the question carefully. If you read the question carefully, you will see the adjustments and other key information in the question. Then you will be able to work out the answer correctly. And I am again emphasizing that this approach uses like preparation of all components of consolidated financial statements, not the SOFP first, then income statement. එහෙම නෙමෙයි යන්නේ. ඔක්කොම ටික එකට හදනවා, right? All components like statement of financial position or SOFP, income statement, changes in equity statement, right? All these statements are simultaneously prepared. That is why we worry about the retained earnings and other adjustments, income tax expense, deferred tax asset, right? So this is the approach used in this textbook. Okay, let us see the answer. Now this is the answer for the 4th scenario, and let's see whether my answer is correct. Yes, this is the answer for the 5th scenario. I will upload the complete version of the slides to the LMS. Then you can see the answer as per the book. Right. We'll get into a quick check. True false question, right? The elimination of the full effects of intra-group transactions is required in the preparation of consolidated financial statements. The elimination of full effects. Elimination of full effect. I told you, irrespective of the ownership interest, the intra-group or intercompany transactions should be fully eliminated. Ownership එකේ interest එක කොමක් වුවත් 70% වෙන්න පුළුවන්, wholly owned subsidiary එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන් 100%, right? But still, irrespective of the ownership interest, the intra-group transactions or intercompany transactions should be fully eliminated. Because when we adjust for the NCI, the ownership that is not with the parent will be adjusted. NCI adjust කරපු ගමන් අර parent නැති ownership එක adjust වෙනවා. එනිසා NCI කියන එක තාම අපි කතා කරේ නැහැ. හරි? අපි මොකද කරන්නේ? Intra group transactions නැත්නම් intercompany transactions are fully eliminated. Therefore this is correct. Number 2, where there is an intra-group sale of inventory and the inventory has been sold to external parties prior to the end of the reporting period, no adjustment is required on consolidation. Then on intercompany sale එකක් වෙලා තියෙනවා inventory, and inventory has been sold to external parties prior to the end of the reporting period. හරි? ඒ කියන්නේ ඇත්තටම scenario number 5. Scenario number 5. Right? It says, ඔක්කොම ටික විකුණලා තියෙනවා. It says no adjustment entry is required on consolidation. So it is false. Why? We saw that even it is sold to external customers, right? We may have figures which are overstated or understated. අපි දැක්ක scenario number 2 එකෙත් ඔයාලා දැක්ක මම මේ පැත්තට આવුත් එහෙම scenario number 2 එකේ 100% විකුණලා තිබුණේ. හරි? එහෙමනම් adjustment entry එකක් අපි තිබ්බේ නැද්ද? තිබ්බා. ඇයි? sales අයින් කරන්න ඕනේ වුණා, cost of sales අයින් කරන්න ඕනේ වුණා, income tax expense අයින් කරන්න ඕනේ වුණා. නේ? ඒ නිසා even though it is fully sold to the external customers, we need to make an adjustment for the consolidation. Okay? Unrealized profit එකක් නැහැ තමයි. නමුත් අර සමහර තියෙන line items, sales, cost of sales ඒවා වගේ වැරදි. Right? ඒ නිසා we wanted to make an adjustment even the intercompany sale of inventory has been fully sold to external customers before the end of the current year. හරි මම දැන් ඒක clear. Therefore it is wrong. The effect of an intergroup sale of inventory at a profit where the inventory is still on hand තාමත් තියෙනවලු at the end of the reporting period is that both profit and inventory asset are overstated. හරි? profit එකට inventory විකුණලා තාමත් inventory එක විකුණලා නැහැ. ඒ කියන්නේ තාමත් inventory එක external customers වලට විකුණලා නැහැ. Right? So it says both profit and the inventory asset are overstated. So it is correct. Intercompany sale එක profit එකකට විච්ච ගමන්ම profit එක overstate වෙලා තියෙනවා. හරි? ඒ වගේම ඒ inventory එක තාම external customers වලට විකුණලා නැහැ කියන්නේ inventory එකත් overstate වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා both the profit and the inventory has been overstated. Therefore this is correct. Okay, so with that I will finish the second part of the topic, and let's get into the sale of fixed asset transfers between PPE and inventory and vice versa, and dividends, borrowings in the second video. Okay, right.